Hello, stories from mamas loading. Of course, I'm Dr. Sha'Rose. We're going to get our wonderful co host a good one for you today. Like, cannot wait. Um, where is she? Where is she? Where is she? There she is. Oh, I'm so excited for our talk today.
Yes, it's a good one.
Like I was saying, this is Stories from Mamas. Today we're going to be talking about image. I'm Dr. Sha'Rose with our beautiful co-host Jasmine Mitchell. Friend, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. All right. Can we let's just get into last week we talked about your birth story.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Very emotional, important story. Don't be mad at me. It hasn't made it to our YouTube yet.
Girl,
Okay. It'll get
hey,
there. It'll
I
get
know.
there.
Real
And
mom
true
time.
mom
Mhm.
life, right? Because we are two real moms out here, real wives. We should have our own talk show.
That's what we're doing. Podcast coming soon.
Plugging that out
Mhm.
there. But we were on our way to an event and talking in the car. And friend, when we just start
I
talking,
would say the car is where the magic happens because it's always when we were talking in the car. Yeah,
the truth comes
it
out.
does.
Okay. I don't know. But we started talking about this image, the image and idea of like, and I think it really stemmed from not being creative.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's where it really started for us.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, and it's crazy because it's been on my mind ever since, like, I did not think I was a creative person.
Mm-hmm.
I was smart. I was book smart. I was a little naive. So street smart wasn't, but I was book smart. Okay. Um, and I was athletic enough.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Like I couldn't, coordinate hand and feet, but I could run. Right. So I was athletic enough. Like, don't ask me to do basketball or soccer.
But track, you got track.
I got track and cross country. Okay.
Okay. Period. Because I don't do that. No.
But yeah, so I was, I didn't draw. I didn't sing well. Okay, I sang, but I didn't sing well. I wasn't in nobody choir. Okay. And I really felt like I wasn't creative. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and I was funny. I am funny. But to me, that wasn't an act of creativity. And so this whole image and idea, and that wasn't something that was fostered
Mm-hmm.
either. Like my mom, my family, it was, oh, you need to be a doctor, you need to be a nurse, something in the medical field,
Yeah.
something book smart, not creative. And
Yeah.
anything that would seem creative was, oh, that was laughed at, it was demeaned, it was, something that maybe you did as a hobby, but don't spend too much time on it
Yeah.
because it would take you away from your
Mm-hmm.
books. And so that really kind of led us to this whole idea of like this image of what people put on us or expect from us.
Yes.
So, were you creative?
Not in the sense, like you said, not like drawing or, I sang, but I didn't sing well either. Car karaoke, that's my thing. Um, I did write a lot when I was
Mm-hmm.
younger. I did a lot of writing. And then I did enjoy dancing.
Yes.
However, growing up in a super religious household,
Mm-hmm.
you don't, you're moving your hips a little too much. Um,
Why I got these hips then?
and if it wasn't like your hymns, your Kurt Franklin, your Mary Mary, you couldn't turn on the music.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think my creative spark just kind of fizzled out eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I won't even say fizzled out, but that spark wasn't really there because I felt like the ideas and things that I had in my head, they weren't practical or they
Nope.
weren't acceptable or
Ooh.
you'd never make anything out of them. So you kind of forget how to dream, I guess.
They weren't
Mhm.
fostered. They weren't fostered. You forget how to dream and the practical part of it.
Yeah.
Like if anyone, if I ask anyone if they think that I am a practical person, I think the answer would be
Right.
no.
Same.
Because it feels like to be practical means that you have to ignore all the other eccentricities. Is that a real word? I made it one. The eccentricness of life and
Yeah.
just personality, but also careers, even. You just have to ignore that part because it's not
Yeah.
practical, right? Maybe it's not going to pay the bills, or maybe, it's just not something that you can be proud of.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the idea of creativity, and kind of where our conversation stemmed on this image. But like, now, do you think you're creative?
Child, I have no idea. You know me, every other week is something like, oh, friend, we need to do this or we need to do that. So I would say that I am a little bit of a creative now in this point of my life.
And I would say, like you mentioned writing, I used to write a lot as a
Hmm.
kid. I honestly, over the last few years, have not written as much as I love pen and paper. That's why I love paper books. I love the smell, the feel. It makes it so real. But writing became unsafe for me because my mom would read my journal. She would read my stuff.
Hmm.
And it became unsafe, and I couldn't express myself because I didn't know if it was a safe place to do it and how it would be used against me. Which I love my mom. We have our relationship. It is what it is. We're not even getting into relationships this week, but don't worry, we will. But I didn't write,
Yeah.
but I also didn't see writing as a way of being creative until I took creative writing in school.
Hmm.
Like, until I literally took it in college and was like, oh, this is a way of being creative. This is a way of expressing yourself. But no one, my mom said, if you can read and write and do math, you can do anything.
Hmm.
But that didn't mean be creative within doing those things either.
Right.
So
So
go
I got a
ahead.
question. Hey, girl. Hey. Um, how do you think the lack of fostering of certain pieces of your personality translated into motherhood?
Ooh. Well, it was this image and idea of who I need to be and how I need to show up.
Mhm.
At first, it started like as a wife.
Yeah.
This idea of what does a wife look like? Because how am I supposed to just stop doing all the stuff that I was doing when you met me, before you
Hmm.
met me, and now suddenly I'm not out till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. Wait, that's supposed to change because the piece of paper changed. So it definitely started with that, like this idea of being a wife.
Hmm.
And then, okay, being a wife, one of those roles is being a mom.
Hmm.
And now, I love children. I've always loved kids. I've always wanted to be a mom somehow, some way. Um, but it truly was this idea of like, that meant there was no creativity. There was no, I had to go by what I've seen, or better than what I've seen, go by what me and my husband have decided on. But it felt restrictive
Hmm.
because I parent kind of wild, I would say.
Same. Same. And you're a lot more structured than I am. So, friend.
Because while I may be wild, I love
Yeah.
structure. Okay. I understand the world runs around it a little bit, and I can, put a little bit in there. But it was this idea that as a mom, this image of what that looked like, especially out in public, especially being a Black mom,
Yeah.
like, oh, we weren't just going to come out looking just busted.
Mm-mm.
Okay. We didn't make sure every single curl was nice and tight, right? Every face was free of gunk.
Hmm.
Like, that was how we were showing up in the world, and me showing I'm a good mom because that's how we come out the door.
Hmm.
So I would say that image of that was how I presented as a mom.
So, how did you, in contrast to how you were showing up, how did you actually feel?
How I feel and felt was we were gonna walk out in a bonnet and be okay. We were gonna have crusty face because that's childhood. I wasn't. I mean, I did not go outdoors in pajamas until probably like 2 years ago. And I mean, like, I need to have on full clothes. And some people can say what they want to say about it, how they feel about representation in public and things like that. But it was restrictive because I
Mm,
felt like I need to put on this image, and who that mask is what it was of like outside we got it all together, but then you get it at home and it's like, whew, okay, I can let it all out. I
yeah.
can, whatever. It's like when a mom walks in the room with their child and they just go crazy. It's like you've been holding that in all day. Why get all the crazy? That's how I felt.
Hmm. I can relate to what you're saying because I know for a long time the only thing that I could really think about was like, oh my God, I gotta be the best mom. Oh my goodness, I gotta
Mm-hmm.
like make sure my kid is dressed to the T's and make sure everybody's face and everything and like it's a lot. Um and I did not realize how much I had lost myself
Mm.
in after having my son. I mean, yes, as a wife, but motherhood
Mm-hmm.
was the one that really, because I'm a naturally nurturing, loving, giving person. And so now you have this little thing that's like, oh, okay, you need every ounce of what I have to give. And
Yep.
that was just all that I was doing. And I just remember feeling lost. And for a while, I was like grasping at straws, like any and everything, throwing spaghetti at the wall and hoping something sticks, like trying to figure out who I was again.
Yeah.
Even down to like getting dressed. I could not remember how to dress myself. It
Oh,
it
that is
was
so real.
so weird.
That
Like,
is real.
and I probably within like the last 3 or 4 months have I figured out how my clothes work again. But when
Print
I
out
say,
all that body you got.
girl, when I tell you I couldn't put two coordinating pieces of clothing together to save my life,
Wow.
it was terrible.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm glad to know that I'm not the only one who's feeling this way or
Listen,
felt this way.
no, clothes for me were such a big thing. First of all, one, we know I'm gonna cry. Two, I'm an emotional time people, so tears are a lot more easier. But um clothes were a big thing. Like I said before, but even I remember as a kid, my mom would be like, you are a representation of me.
Mm-hmm.
You are not going to go out in these streets looking wild.
Mm-hmm.
So it was so important. But also, she was so strict on what I could wear. I wore pants that were like 3 sizes too
Oh,
big.
girl.
So I
Oh,
didn't show my shape, right? So
girl.
when we say didn't know and understand clothes, I probably up until I hired a stylist who literally
Mm-hmm.
came to my closet, threw out all the other stuff, and was like, this is what you're left with that can actually fit you, that actually flatters you. And it was like this much space in my closet. I had to replace my whole closet because I was still stuck in this idea of, well, I don't want to show too much of this, not enough of that. And that's one of the biggest critiques when I go home to this day. Ooh, those shorts are a little short, aren't they? You're showing off a little bit of the itty bitties. Like, that's the conversations that still happen when I walk through the door. And
Mm-hmm.
so, like, clothing was such a big thing. And then you worry about getting a child dressed and, like, the fight that can be. By the time I get to myself, I'm glad if I can just throw on a dress and call it a day.
A dress, friend. You're doing a good job because you know me and my hoodies and some tights.
I need one piece. I just need one piece, okay? And so really figuring out like, no, I can be cute. And my kids call it fancy. Mama, you look fancy. They love when I dress fancy. That just means I got on something that coordinates, it might sparkle a little bit and it got a little color to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's fancy to
Yeah.
them. But they love seeing that. And to me, it was like, oh, this is too much mental work. Like I got other shit to do. I don't want to worry about whether these pants match with this. I'm gonna throw on this one piece and we good.
Mm-hmm.
And so clothes were a big thing that when we talk about an image, an idea, like I was presenting that I was tired as fuck
Yeah. Okay.
because I was.
Yes. Absolutely. And I mean, that's the reality of it. You're tired. When you first have small children, you are tired. I don't give a crap if you take your child to daycare, grandma's, whatever. You still got them overnights.
Yep.
Your mind is still in a mile a minute.
Yep.
And the last thing, the last person that you can even think about is yourself.
Mm.
And I think I saw something the other day. You've probably seen it going around. It's this new saying when a mom gets her pink back.
Oh,
Uh,
I haven't seen it.
so when a flamingo has a child and they're
Yes.
nursing, they lose their color. They
Yes.
they turn
Okay.
white. They're this very like pale,
Pale
pale color.
pink. Mm-hmm.
Um, and sometimes it can take them a couple of years to get that color back, but it just goes to show how much energy and effort goes into nurturing and caring for a child. It's literally sucking energy and different
Girl.
pieces of you out so that you can actually take care of, nurture this infant.
Woo, that is
And
imagery right there. Because I feel like I can remember the outfit that I put on. I said, oh, she's back. She's back, okay? You
Mhm.
can't tell me nothing. I don't care if I'm mixing gold and silver together. I don't care if the sleeves are too big. I
Mhm.
don't care. But she is back, and that unapologetic show up in the world how you feel. Damn, what you think I should wear as a mom. Like
Mhm.
that moment.
Yeah.
That's exactly what that sounds like to me.
Yeah, yeah, and it is, and it's a process. I want to say mine, it took me about a year to even start to take the steps to
Mm,
try to start to feel like myself. Because it was last year, January,
mm.
I was able to reconnect with a childhood friend. She's got a little girl that's older than Jordan. And actually she just has a newborn
Oh,
now.
geez.
But we were talking, reconnected, started talking, and just realized we both felt like we were just trapped and stuck and didn't know who we were. We spend so much of our time pouring into our kids and um, just trying to, the pressure of being the best mom and
Mm-hmm.
making sure your kid knows this and he's eating this and that the meals are well rounded and yada, yada, yada. Like, I know
Yeah.
it's important, but nobody was teaching me the importance of taking care of me in that way.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I decided we're going outside. We're going to go outside. I don't even know how to be outside anymore at this point, but we're gonna figure it out. We're
We
gonna we're
gonna learn
gonna
it together.
we're gonna take a couple shots of this tequila and we're gonna see what happens, where the night takes us.
First of all, I need a tequila company to sponsor us because
Period. Period.
parenting requires tequila sometimes. All
I
right.
mean, my child has taught me how to drink, because
Ah! Okay, we're just gonna ignore those years as a bartender. Like that didn't help at all.
listen, I hate years as a bartender taught me how to
Uh,
turn up.
okay.
Parenting, you got to drink and continue to parent.
Now that is true. No, that is very much true. Okay, that's a whole nother topic on its own. Okay, how can we drink responsibly and parent? All right, we gotta write that one down for later.
But
But
yeah, I had to. It's like I had to step outside of the four walls of my house and
Mhm.
figure out who I was in the world. And I got so much shit for going outside from people. Um, I remember one of my husband's friends ran into me and was like, "You left the baby at home with his dad?"
You mean a very capable parent? Yes, I
And
did.
is the child with his father at our home?
You want him strapped to my back while I'm out here twerking in the club? Like
Like,
I don't understand.
and then even I remember, oh, well, you need to make sure you're balancing out your free time and his free time. And it's just like, why
No.
is that my responsibility to balance his free time? Because
Mm.
damn sure ain't nobody make sure I have free time over the last year.
Whew.
So,
Listen, I remember there's this recurring conversation me and my husband would have around free time. And it
mhm,
was like, hey, if you want some time, whatever, like get it. You just need to communicate that with me.
yeah.
Because it would be like, you're coming home later from work. What's going on? Or you were supposed to be here, but you weren't, you were there a little longer. And it was like, well, if I need time, I find it. It's like, yeah, but you're not communicating that to me. But when I need time, when I need to be away from these children, I have to make sure you're
Ask,
home.
ask
I have
permission,
to
more or less.
ask for, oh my God, those are my exact words. Okay. Why was I trying to sugarcoat? You're right. I was like, I have to ask permission for me to take this time, but when you need this time, you just make room and find it. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't understand. To me, you need to communicate, because I feel like, well, damn, I'm doing this wrong if I'm the only parent who needs time away from my children. This whole
Mm-hmm.
image of I'm supposed to be strong and show up for them. I'm not doing it because I need to be away, but you're doing fine. You come
Mm-hmm.
home with all this energy.
Mm-hmm.
But it's because you found it.
Yeah.
You didn't have to communicate it. You didn't have to ask for it.
Mm-hmm.
And so this conversation came up over and over again. And finally, Lord, thank you to our marriage counselor. No, they do earn their money though. But it's over and over having to communicate it. And then like this breakthrough was like, I get what you're
Yeah.
saying. It's not that I need this time. It's not that it's even a problem. It's the fact that you have to communicate that. Because
Mm-hmm.
as a mom, and the idea that I have that I'm supposed to show up for these kids, I'm asking you if I can show up for myself.
Yeah.
But you just assume that you can show up for yourself and you'll find the time to do
Mm-hmm.
that. And that was a huge problem because, wait, why can't I just assume that I'm supposed to show up for me?
Mm-hmm.
No one else is assuming that. And so that goes into this whole image of what we're supposed to do as moms, how we're supposed to show up for ourselves or not show up for ourselves, but then our kids and our families as well.
I mean, it's so easy to lose yourself in motherhood, and I think the loss of autonomy is something that
Mm-hmm.
people really brush over, because even the other day I was uh, me and Michael were kind of discussing schedules or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like he kind of like brushed past something he was saying or thinking about doing or whatever. And I was just like, I need you to tell me what to expect, what our week looks like.
Mm-hmm.
How do we make this work together? Um, and I think he could sense that I was a little irritated. And I had to tell him, like, you realize everything that I do, I have to ask permission, right? I
Mm-hmm.
and he was looking at me, you don't have to ask me anything. And I was like, mm-mm, you're making this about something that you're doing to me, and that's not what I'm
Right.
saying. I I have to make sure either you're home, we have a babysitter, that his food is taken care of, my work is
Mm-hmm.
taken care of, like all of the things before I can even think about trying to go exercise or like I don't know, going to get my hair done. Whereas you can schedule whatever you need to schedule during the day and just be like, oh, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that before I come home. I'm gonna stop here and I'm gonna do this before I come home. And I had to let him know, you don't even have to remember to tell me what you're doing. Whereas
Ah.
I have to make sure everybody's schedule is in sync in order to breathe freely. And people don't, everybody likes to brush over this. Oh, like, just, you're fine. It's not,
No.
child.
That loss of autonomy starts the moment you decide you want to have a baby or the moment you're pregnant, right? That loss of autonomy starts at that point because your body is no longer just
No.
yours. And it's not yours for years after you have a kid. And no one really considers that.
Mm-hmm.
That before I do anything, right? Which is, don't even get me on Roe v. Wade and all the other rights that we lose. But my
Girl.
autonomy stops and shifts to this baby, another person, the moment I'm pregnant. Which,
Yeah.
sure, I agree to this. I want to do this, but I also deserve to have my own autonomy sometimes.
Yeah.
All
And I
right?
mean, just because you agree to it doesn't mean it's not hard. Because
Correct.
we sure like to give these men a pat on the back when they come, oh, he had a hard day at work. Nick, did he?
I had a hard day breathing, okay? This baby's pushing on my ribs.
Oh,
Like,
child. Oof.
but
Oxygen.
it's right. Like, but that autonomy it's huge. And listen, I had those same conversations where it's like I don't know what to expect from day to day, let alone the week. And while every Sunday my husband will sit there and okay, let's do our weekly planning. You're damn right. We're gonna do our weekly planning on our Sunday night. Put these kids to bed. All right, Monday. This is what we got going on. This is who's picking up who. This is what we're doing. So that there shouldn't be surprises that are weekly things that happen,
Mm-hmm.
right? It shouldn't be a surprise that one of us is picking up a child. Like, I
Right.
shouldn't get a text at 3 o'clock, like, hey, which one you got? You know?
Yeah.
Right? So we had to do that because it's like communicating on where are you going to be
Yeah.
so that I know that you can take care of this
Mm-hmm.
child. Where am I going to be so we know that I can take care of this child? And it just makes life a lot easier. I don't have to go over and over in my head and question this stuff. And also, you have to communicate where the hell you going to be. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Because yes, we answer to each other because we created this life together and we're committed to
Period.
each other.
Okay. So I got a
Yeah.
question. Um, how would you define yourself in your all that you are today is,
Oh.
in your business, this
Plural.
motherhood, being a wife, like
Yeah.
how would you describe yourself now?
Oh man. Evolving. Let's hold on. Let me see. We got one person who just says, I need a compliment, but wanting a thank you every time you parent like this is our child. You're not babysitting. Yes. Yes. Okay.
Girl, let me tell
Like
you
you are not
something.
babysitting your child.
Sometimes sometimes they need a minute to get it. And I'm telling you, go give him that child and walk out the door. I don't care if you drive to the next street over and sit there. Sometimes you gotta let these men figure it out. Like you do, and uh, I
We've
that's a
talked
whole
about
nother
this though. I
tangent.
would say we've talked about this where, and that is another subject for us to talk about where it's this idea of, roles
Mm-hmm.
and what's expected of a father or maybe the non-birthing parent versus the mother or the birthing parent. The expectations are different.
Mm-hmm.
And my so many times when I would be away, because I love to travel without my husband and my children. And they're like, well, who's watching your children? Their father? He's not watching them, he's parenting and raising them.
Right. It's like,
And I'm parenting and raising them from a distance. If it was reversed, there would be no question of who's watching the children because it would just be assumed they're with their mother.
mm-hmm.
And so it's there is this difference of when a father is fathering and parenting versus when a mother is mothering and parenting.
It's definitely
Um,
a double standard.
it is. It is. Listen, this is just one quick aside. I remember when I was pregnant with my first, and I was working as a tech in a PT clinic, and one of the patients said, "Oh, well, is the father of your child happy that I'm pregnant? You mean my husband?" And my response was, I was like, "Well, you mean my husband? I mean, I hope so. We really planned this down to a T, so I really hope he's excited." But the idea that the father wouldn't even be in the picture was wild. Wild.
Mm.
Anyway,
Yeah.
living in the South, okay?
Girl.
Uh, I was in Texas at that point. It don't get no better. But your question was, how would I describe myself now in all of the things and ways that I show up now?
Mm-hmm.
I would say evolving.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, that is like
Yeah.
freedom.
Yeah.
And we talked about like this idea, like I see it on social media all the time. People like free will, me painting my front door pink, you know? And like, I don't even want to go to those extremes. So I could definitely have a purple room. Okay. 100% could have that.
Mm-hmm.
I just, the idea that I can say no to something, the idea that I can say yes to me,
Mm-hmm.
the idea that I could show up as crazy and eccentric and purple haired as I want to, because I definitely did have that for a while.
I love the purple
The
hair.
upkeep is hard.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna come back, but it's hard. Okay. But to me, I would say evolving and having the space and support and ability to do that. Because
Mm-hmm.
too many times I felt like I have these ideas of who I am and what I want to do, but I can't share that with anybody.
Yeah.
Not even my husband. Like,
Yeah.
oh my God, what if I show him how I really am and he decides, oh, that's it. I'm out of here, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I would say. I would say evolving. We're like, I don't know. Maybe today I got bangs. Maybe tomorrow I'm gonna have a shortcut. We don't know what we're gonna get.
Yeah. But there's a freedom, there's a safety in having that space where you can just rediscover yourself. And
Over and over again.
I love I like the word rediscover, and I definitely use that when I'm talking to my moms in the gym, because you were never the same person after you get pregnant. I like, because we like to say, snap back or get back to you. And
Uh-huh.
it's like, I understand where people are coming from, but I mean, on a scientific level, your brain is literally rewired. But if we're just talking about in your day to day life, like, I don't think the same way that I used to. Um, the way that I move, somebody, Lakir from,
Mm.
Culture Uncorked,
Mm-hmm.
he messaged me the other day and he was just like, motherhood looks good on you. I was like, what do you mean, friend? Like, what? Because sometimes I can be a,
Right.
huh? But he was just saying, he said, you are, he said, you just seem so calm all the time. Every time I run into you, he was like, there's just this calmness about you. And I was like, you don't know me, Frank, because ain't nothing over
What?
here calm. But him knowing me prior to having
Mm.
Jordan, I think that there is a certain level of calm that I have adopted. Um, and it had to come across the board. Like, I couldn't, how people like to pick and choose like where they use their parenting voices, and
Mm.
I they don't we don't have a
Nope.
switch over here. There is
Nope.
no back and forth.
Mm-mm.
So I had to learn how to exist in this gentle parenting state of being for it to be consistent and effective. And also, I choose not to let shit bother me.
You
Um,
can't. You
because
can't.
people will stress you out. When I say who won't shut down? People texting me? Absolutely not. I don't have time.
You're
Not that I don't want to talk to
choosing
you.
your peace. You're choosing your sanity.
Mm-hmm.
You are choosing your mental health. Like you are choosing you in those moments.
Mm-hmm.
So I get the calm now. You're right. Like having her yesterday, I'm like, you calm? Like what? Especially if there's tequila, it's over. Literally not what I'm here for. Okay, I'm here for the turn
Yeah.
ups.
Period.
But you're right. There is that calm that you have to have because we've all been there where we had this perfect day plan with what we're going to do with our children, how our children were going to take the naps they were going to take, how we were going to just be this big happy family, and that shit blew up. Okay, the morning came and everybody's fighting, everyone's screaming, no one's happy, and you have to pick and choose where you're going to put your energy. And if
Mm-hmm.
you're going to be upset and stressed and anxious over things, you're going to waste away. Like
Mm-hmm.
you can't. There's not enough capacity to be so worried about every single thing because these kids gonna stress you out.
And they
That
will.
that's a
They
fact.
will. My mama told me she would, and at the time there was a better time and place to do it, but she she was like, Jasmine, you gotta calm down. You're getting real high strung like I used to be. And my mom, she used to be very high strung, very, very meticulous about how things were done. Just she was just real, you
Yeah.
know, very sweet. You catch her at work or at church. She's just completely different person. Not that she was mean, but just very, it was just always like things had to be perfect. They had
Mm.
to be done this way. It was just, and so she told me, she was like, "You're starting to act like me." And I mean,
Oh
at
no,
that moment, I was like, "Lady, please stop talking to me."
that's an
But
insult.
when I went home and I started to think about it, and I was like, I don't want to be high strung. Like, I don't even want to be stressed. I don't even care to be the person that got it all figured out because I'm tired of being, the one with all the answers in the house because it's
Yeah.
exhausting. And that's when I decided shit just is gonna be what it is. I don't care what we got planned. Like it. His hair's not done. It's probably because he acted like he was dying the moment I touched his head. His 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 clothes are dirty. They were clean before when
At
he
some
got
point.
dressed.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
best believe he was clean at some point today. What he looks like now is between him and the Lord. I ain't got nothing to do with it anymore.
Uh,
And I'm also not the parent. I'm not gonna change you every 2 seconds. Like
who
my
got time for all
child,
that laundry?
my child is very much a go roll around in the dirt. Why
And as he
change his
should be.
clothes? For what? What?
So,
Mm-mm.
what would you say is your image of who you are what you represent now?
Oh, I definitely like your term evolving.
Mm.
Um, but if I had to, I would definitely say I'm in a discovery phase.
Yeah.
Um, I think, coming back to childhood, I don't think I ever really knew who I was.
Mm.
Um, I know who I tried to be and, who I felt like I had to be. Um,
Who was that?
child. Um, very buttoned up, put together. Image was very important. Especially being in church, you had to look a certain way, you had to dress a certain way. Things
Mm.
can't be too short, too tight. Um, couldn't wear makeup. Got told I look foolish with makeup on.
Oh man.
Eesh.
You should have seen me
Um,
the first time I actually wore makeup. I did look foolish
and I
because I know
surely
what I
did,
was doing.
but nobody should have said it. Like, there's a way to approach these things. Like,
Exactly.
let me help you. Like, oh, you did such a good job, but let's do
Right.
this and let's do, like, there's ways to do it. But, and so I think those little things like, oh, you look foolish with all that makeup on, or,
Mm-hmm.
oh, everybody's just going to be staring at your body if you wear that tight dress to church, or, you need to make sure you're representing this household a certain way when you,
Yeah.
I think, not even I think, I realized I was so worried about fitting into this box
Yeah.
that had been created for me that it's the dog,
Like somebody got a side eye.
that he's fine, that
You fit into this box, friend.
I didn't have the capacity to even consider who I wanted to be.
Mm.
Um, there were just so many times I just remember having to be quiet, like, shutting my thoughts down and not giving my
Mm-hmm.
opinion about stuff and go to bed.
Uh-oh.
He's trying to wake up the baby. But yeah, just having to read, like, just like, what's the word?
Yes.
Stifle myself so that
You weren't
me
too much.
wouldn't be offensive to other people. And
Mm-hmm.
I was always, I'm loud, I say the
Yep.
wrong things, I
Yep.
laugh at the most inappropriate
Oh
times.
God.
I
The laugh.
Please don't tell me nothing serious and tell me keep a straight face, because it's not gonna work out. It's not even funny. It's just you made it awkward. Now I'm
It,
laughing at you.
oh my God. I love an awkward. Okay, I love awkward situations now because I'm mature and adult enough to understand them. I'm still gonna laugh,
Mm,
but I love it. It's life. There's awkward situations, and we can either pretend like it didn't happen, or we can just lean right into it and be like, "Well, that was weird, right?"
yeah, yeah,
But you're right. That box of like, these are the things that are acceptable. That's what can be in here, and that's how you fit in there. And then anything outside of that is your problem.
yeah,
Because why are you having those thoughts that you don't want to do this thing or you can't do this thing? Why are you wanting to do this? Why would you? And it becomes an internal, sometimes external things that are thrown at you of who you should be and how you should respond to stuff. And it's all your responsibility when all of this, a lot of it was put on you by other people.
yeah,
And
yeah,
then you feel crazy because you're like, well, damn, why can't I get it together?
yeah.
Why can't I show up?
And you struggle. You struggle, and you struggle with feeling like you're not good
Mm.
enough. You're not doing enough. Like, that was my biggest thing. I just never felt like I was going to be good enough to
Mm-hmm.
be anything or please anybody. And it wasn't until maybe recently that I realized a lot of this stuff, a lot of these voices that I hear, they're not even my voice.
Oh my goodness.
It's things that have been said to me or spoken over me. And granted, most of them were probably with good intentions, but your intentions do not shape a person's perspective or their reality. And
Mm.
that it played a lot of the things that I heard and the way that I was raised, it played a large role into um, how I transitioned into adulthood because I struggled. I
Mm.
struggled so much. I struggled knowing where I fit in, knowing what I liked. I couldn't even tell you like what I enjoyed to do probably about 2 or 3 years ago. Like
Oh my
I
God.
outside of liking to dance and I like to eat, like I couldn't tell you what I enjoy. I couldn't tell you much about myself.
Yeah.
Like I hate it when you have to go somewhere and people are like, "Oh, tell us 2 or 3 things about yourself." Introduce. Why? We would know. But yeah, so
Yeah.
definitely growing into whoever it is I'm becoming and allowing myself to be all of my eccentric chaoticness, and I love it. I just love everything that I am and that I'm doing now.
Mm-hmm.
Um and realizing a lot of the guilt and shame that I carried it wasn't from me. It wasn't feeling like I was doing something wrong. A lot of that stuff I had to realize that a lot of it had to do with feeling guilty or ashamed to talk to my parents or be around my parents.
Mm-hmm.
And that was, I think that one was very freeing. Like the issue wasn't with me. I just knowing that I'm gonna walk into a space and there's just a certain level of judgment that's gonna follow.
Yeah.
Oh, God forbid, I tell her that um I went to a dance class. It was a twerk class. I told
And you had a
we're in the car.
blast and looked
Oh,
good.
I did. I had so much fun. And she was like, "But what did you do?" I was like, "Oh, I attended this dance class." And well, what kind of dance? And I just, yeah, just dancing. Well, what type of dance? Because it was a twerk class, mommy. Oh my God, that's so disgusting. I can't believe that's not right. You should do. And I'm just like, and this is why we don't discuss things like, because you don't want to know. You think you want to know until you
You
know.
don't
So
want
you just
to
don't want to
know.
know. Stop asking questions you don't want to know the answer to.
What I've seen, especially when I look at these comments, right? Like when I go home and the comments on my clothing and stuff like that, I now can say I'm confident in what I'm wearing,
Hmm.
in what I'm doing, in who I am, and how I parent. I'm confident in those things. And the comments that you're saying may be a projection of how you're feeling about how you are doing those things
Yeah.
or not doing those things or not showing up. That is not my problem.
Hmm.
That's your problem, frankly. And I had those backwards for so long where it was like, are you sure you want to go with that cut? It's a little short. And I was like, you're right. I'll never cut my hair.
Hmm.
I'll never cut my hair because your idea of what I would look like or who I would be or how I would show up was this. And so I adopted that. And now on the other side of realizing, no, you have some work you need to do personally, and that is showing up in how you respond and interact with me. But I can't control that.
Hmm.
I can control how I feel about what I'm doing, how I'm dressing, how I'm showing up, but I can't control how you feel about that.
Yeah.
And it's not for me to.
Yeah.
And for me that has been freeing because I remember I was talking to my life coach and she's like, if you could be like one person, who would it be? And I said, I want to be like my crazy grandma. And I say crazy grandma because this woman is crazy. I mean, she hold people up by their neck up against a house. Like this woman have been beat over the head with a hammer before. Like she has lived a crazy life. Okay. But we
We're
all,
gonna breeze over the got beat overhead with a hammer.
yeah, I mean, she's been stabbed too. It's fine. She stabbed a few people. people don't, people don't know the life I've lived. Okay.
Oh my.
These are just normal stories, okay? Like don't walk above grandma too much. She might have her knife ready, okay? Um, but it's because she is these stories like that I've heard my whole childhood. This craziness that she's had her whole life. This woman who, is the sweetest person, makes friends with everyone she meets, but don't like a lot of people she meets also. She just she is who she is. People accept it. They know it. You know what you're gonna get from her, and she's just her house is her house, and she has all of her collections and I'm like, that's a woman I want to be. Not getting beat
Mm-hmm.
over the head, not stabbing people, but just so confident in who I am. I don't care what other people say.
Mm-hmm.
And people know what to expect. They're just like, oh, it's just Linda being Linda. It's all right. And it's just accepted. My mom, oh, that's just your mom being your mom. She gon' you we know how she is. She'll get over in a couple days. It's like, oh, they can show up as who the fuck they are.
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay. No one's gonna push back against it because they're not gonna change. That's who they are. And I was like, that's who I wanna be. I
Yeah.
wanna be as eccentric. I wanna be as crazy as I wanna be. And I want people to know that's just who the fuck I am. But I'm not
Yeah.
changing that.
Yeah. Absolutely. I will say that motherhood has given me some audacity. It's not, and it's not something that I think I've ever had. I used to like to pretend like I was about that business sometimes, but like,
You actually have to be.
let me tell you something. And it comes from deciding on how you want to raise your child
Mm-hmm.
and then having to filter out all the bullshit that other people, like you said, the opinions and, all the do this and do that. And you
Mm-hmm.
got to tell people, like, even now, and it's little stuff that I had to learn to just speak up. Like somebody tried to tell us that my son was shy. He's not shy.
He don't know
Like,
you. You a stranger.
and he's taking his time to figure out who you are and whether he wants to be around you or not. Like, he's not shy. Like, don't put this label on him because you ran up to some strange child that you don't really know with open arms and he looked at you like, hold on, friend, let's back it up, give me a few feet. um
Yeah.
but then even with myself, having the audacity to say no, I don't want this, I don't receive this, I don't want to talk about this, I don't want to spend time doing this.
Mm.
you just you had to.
Yeah.
And that has been a large part in me rediscovering who I am.
Yeah. No, that is too real. That part of having the audacity to hurt someone's feelings, to be rude, like I can't control that. I can give it to you as gently as I possibly can, but the answer is no. That's not okay. You cannot
Mhm.
pray over me. I don't trust your prayers. Like you have to.
That's
I am
real.
okay saying that because when you have a kid, you do have to protect them. And protecting yourself is sometimes how you protect them. Because if you're not
Mhm.
there to do it, and you're the only parent that they're with right at that moment, you got to protect yourself to protect your kid. And so it's that point, like even as a baby, where it's like, no, you can't touch my newborn baby with all of your worldly germs.
Yeah.
No, no, you can't touch my stomach because I'm not a petting zoo.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
care if you've never seen a pregnant belly before. I'm not going to be the first time you rub one, you
No.
know? So
No.
it starts, so to have the audacity. I remember one of my classmates, oh my God, I was pregnant. And now, PT school, we all touching each other's body. Like, talk about touchdown. Like, you got to learn the muscles and all the stuff. And I remember them being like, we want to touch your belly. And I was like, no, I'm not a petting zoo. Don't touch me. Well, when I get pregnant, I'm going to let people touch my belly all the time. And you do that. You can be an animal if you want to. Okay? But I'm not. And so you do. You have to have the audacity to protect yourself, protect your children. And sometimes that means protecting your peace and sanity.
Usually, it's
Usually,
usually
you're
what it
right.
is.
Usually. Period. That means protecting your peace. Period.
Yep. Hmm.
Oh my goodness. But okay, before we wrap things up, how would you say, if there was a roadmap, how would you say you you got to this place of rediscovering your image? So if there's someone out there
I
who's feeling this,
Yeah. I got tired of feeling lost. Um, I got tired of looking up and the only thing that I could see or think about or dream about was like within these four walls.
mm,
Um, I I needed something different. I needed something more. And big piece of that, you know me, I'm therapy to the day I die. Um, but my therapist, we discovered that I needed something to do outside of just mothering
Yeah.
all day. And so that's
Yeah.
actually what made me relaunch my business at the beginning of last year.
Yeah.
Um, so having something to distract me, and I'm not even distract me, but to something else to think about and to pour into and
Mm-hmm.
nurture, um, that that I wanted to put my creative time into,
Yep.
having that outlet, something I was passionate about, that was a big piece of it. Um, and then just trying shit.
Oh,
Never in my life was I gonna eat a scorpion, but then I met you and we're taking scorpion shots at the damn bar.
I love that shirt. I laugh. Okay, when I put that, it's my night shirt. It's so
Oh yeah,
big, but when
I
I
wear
put
it
it
to
on,
bed.
I literally laugh every time because that is a core memory. Just the fact that we were bebopping around, ass out, okay, taking scorpion shots.
That is funny. That's actually hilarious. But I mean, even with our Unleashed
Yep,
classes, being bold enough to get up on a pole,
multiple times.
um, yeah, okay, um, and then to tell people about it and put it on the internet and just be like, look what I did, look what I'm doing, you know, taking space for myself,
Mm-hmm.
that was another big piece. Taking solo trips,
Mm.
that was a big one. Like physically removing myself from my responsibilities in a way that I could not get back to them. And
Oh.
shameless plug, our retreat is coming up in like
Woo,
July.
woo,
Um,
woo.
but yeah, that hey girl, hey, that stuff, you don't realize how important it is, especially if you don't have somebody who's been through it telling you like you need to get away, you need to, go outside, you need to take this shot, friend, because you ain't smiled in like the last 3 weeks, like, but it's real.
Not a
You
direct
really
quote.
Like, you really, the best thing that you can do is find another mom, find you a mom group. I don't care if it's
Yeah.
virtual. Find people who are being intentional about themselves. I'm not saying neglect, we not leaving our kid in the house for a week or two with snacks.
No.
That's not what I'm
But
saying.
we know good babysitters.
Period. Okay? They got
That
daddies.
too.
Drop the little fuckers off. Take them. If y'all don't live in the house, drop them off. You got
Uh,
grandparents. I promise you, they're not gonna leave them kids. Go knock on the door, put the child on the step, get back in the car, and just drive off. They gonna take them. You laughing, but
I'm not.
you got to get creative sometimes, because the the world is not gonna make space for you.
No.
You got
And
to
you do.
decide to go outside and take up fucking space.
That's it.
Yeah.
You gotta decide to take up fucking space. And sometimes it isn't even away. Sometimes it's like you leave the child inside and you go outside,
I,
literally to the back porch. Okay? Sit down, tell them, no, you can't come out here. And you take that damn time for yourself.
I
Like,
love me a little step break. I'll go sit on my step and just be like,
help me.
somebody help.
Vitamin D from the sun, give me energy to go back in there and not fuck these kids up.
Yeah.
But reality is one small step that you can take is taking 5 to 10 minutes for yourself.
Oh yeah.
And like, I know it's tough. I know our days are packed, back, back, back. And like, but 5 to 10 minutes in your car, in the bathroom, lock that door. I'm a bathroom door open type person, but I have learned the beauty of a locked bathroom door. Okay, because the moment I swear to you, I hear the steps behind me. I sit down on the toilet, the door is locked, and I go, I hear tap, 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 tap. Hey, every damn
Mm-hmm.
time. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so take those 5 to 10 minutes and truly recalibrate.
Yeah.
Figure out what you need. Take those moments, and I just promise you, those 5 minutes will turn into 15. They'll turn into 20. They'll turn into 30. They'll turn into a day. Right? Like we understand that it's not feasible, and maybe we're speaking from a little bit of privilege when we say we take solo trips without these people, because we do. But it didn't start that
Mm-hmm.
way. It started with me taking 15 minutes in the car when I got home to be like, okay, I'm about to go in here and this is what I need. And it grew from there. So we understand it doesn't happen overnight, but it can happen.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be confident and there's gonna be pushback.
Yes.
But Girl, fuck that pushback. Like,
You
it's gonna
got
happen.
to, you absolutely have to set those boundaries, because if you don't, the space will never exist.
Yep.
Um, and most partners, they don't understand until you make them understand. And so
Over and
that's what I
over.
mean by putting them boundaries. I had gotten to a point. I said I have a clock out time in my house. Y'all, you're
She
laughing,
said
but
a
I'm dead
hard
serious.
out. Nope,
I
hard out.
7 p.m. hell or high water. I don't care what you're doing. I'm done. I'm gonna go eat. I'm gonna go take me a nice shower, and I'm gonna go lay down and turn on my show until I'm done. Not
Boom.
because I'm trying to put everything on him, but
No.
y'all, I don't want to get on my schedule so I can shut down. And I get up at 3:30 in the morning, so that's also another reason why I got to
We
be
don't have to justify it,
like,
friend.
you gotta. But that was my boundary. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I get up early. I need a decent amount of time to
Mm-hmm.
shut down and get to bed, because I'm not just a lay down and pass out person. But that little step created a lot of room.
Yep.
It opened up a lot more rest for me. It took off a lot of pressure for me. So just setting the boundaries, just little,
Yep.
wherever you can find a little inch, just keep pushing it. Wherever you can find
Listen.
another little inch, push it a little bit more. But
Ooh,
you have to create space for yourself.
I love that. You know, and I think that's a great place for us to end because you're right. Find that inch, push a little more past it. Okay, because ain't nobody gonna give you more than you ask for. Just keep asking
Mm-mm.
for a little more. At some point, you'll hit the bound. Like, oh, okay, a week, 2 weeks away on a cruise, not okay. Got it. That's too far. But a week is cool. Okay, okay, okay. Right. Find that itch and push a little more till you get to the boundary. That's why I love pushing a boundary. Okay, ask my husband. But this conversation, I'm so glad that we have had this conversation talking about image, talking about how other people see us, and then how we see ourselves. And so if you have any stories, comments, concerns, I mean, I guess we'll listen to your concerns, but if you have any of them, you can definitely share with us. You can DM us, but also you can email us at PhysioPhitHSV@gmail. Okay, that sounds
Yes.
right. And then you can always watch this on YouTube, which you may be watching that now. So thank you for watching our YouTube. And we want to hear from you. Share your stories. Okay. Next week, we're going to be bringing my final. Okay. I'm not going to say second because it's the final first story that I have. And honestly, this one is so different from the first one. If you haven't heard the first one, go check that out because that is on our YouTube. Because it just gives us a different perspective on things. But we are so glad to have you here with our stories from mamas. And we'll see y'all again soon.
Yes, y'all make sure
Bye.
you like, comment, subscribe, and share. Get this information out there. The mamas need to know. So.
All right. Bye.